Hi, I'm Maria,
Hi, I'm Abby.
and this is Tiki, and he's going to be our digestive system model today. So after the horse grabs the food with his lips, he uses his teeth, which are in there, to chew the food. So they have different sets of teeth. They have between 36 and 42 teeth, depending on their gender, and a few other. Tiki has 40 teeth, and there are two main compartments to the teeth. There are the incisors, which are used for shearing grasses and hay, and then there are the molars, which are in the back, over here, and they are used for breaking down the food. The molars help for the horse to obtain nutrients that they need to survive. Mouth and the health of the teeth play a really important role in the health of the digestive system.
While chewing, the horses produce saliva through 3 pairs of glands: the parotid, the submaxillary gland, and the sublingual gland. They must chew or have mechanical jaw movements to produce the saliva, and the saliva is basic or alkaline, and it is neutralized in the stomach. After chewing, the food is pushed through the pharynx, by the tongue, and into the esophagus, which Maria is going to demonstrate for us.
So, after the horse eats or picks up the food with his mouth, it travels down a 5-foot long tube called the esophagus. So the esophagus connects from the pharynx over here down through here to the stomach, which we'll draw next. And this tube pushes the food down with muscular contractions called peristalsis. These muscle contractions don't allow the food to get pushed in the opposite direction. So that's one reason why horses can't throw up. So one common problem that can happen that Tiki here actually has had is an esophageal obstruction, and it's commonly called choke. So because he's had this, he eats wet grain, which just has the food, makes the food become softer and more palatable and easily sliding down this long tube here. The esophagus is also the tube that a vet would perform maybe a nasal scope through. So they would put the tube through the nose and it would go down the esophagus into the stomach.
The stomach is a fairly small and J-shaped muscle. It is a J-shaped muscle that holds 2 to 4 gallons. It is divided into 2 parts, the upper and the lower stomach. In these parts, the enzymatic digestion begins. The upper stomach, it has a pH level of 6 to 7 and is non-glandular. The lower stomach, it has a pH level of 2 to 3.5 and is glandular. The breakdown of nutrients. Hydrochloric acid, or HCl, is constantly produced. In addition to hydrochloric acid, the enzymes pepsin, protease, and lipase are released. The pepsin and protease enzymes break down proteins to amino acids, while the lipase enzyme breaks down fats. After the stomach, the food travels to the small intestine, which is made up of the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum.
After the stomach comes the small intestine, which is made up of the jejunum and the duodenum and the ileum. So the small intestine is actually 60 to 70 feet long. It is just coiled and curled all around on itself. So it goes from the stomach, and it's all squished right in here. Got some long hair, but it's all squished in here. Yep, right there. And the first part, which ends about here, is the duodenum. And the duodenum is the first step in this roll. The first stop in the small intestine is the duodenum. It only takes 20 minutes for all of the contents in the stomach to be emptied into this area. And it is in the stage of digestion, also known as digesta, that the food entering the duodenum has a pH of 2.5 to 3.5. Since a neutral pH is needed for the nutrients to be broken down, the body produces a balancing pH of 7 to 7.5. The next stop is the jejunum, and it makes up most of the small intestine, and is actually 54 feet crammed into this little area. The majority of nutrients are absorbed here in the jejunum. Finally, the ileum ends the small intestine at 6 feet. The ileum, carries fats and proteins and soluble carbs like starch and sugar through the ileal valve into the cecum.
The large intestine is ironically smaller than the small intestine. The large intestine is 50 feet, while the small intestine is 60 to 70 feet. The large intestine is made up of the cecum, the large and small colon, and the rectum. The cecum is a comma-shaped organ that is 4 feet long. It starts from here and goes around down over here. The large intestine makes up for all of this space. The contents are mostly liquid, giving it the nickname the water gut. The cecum contains symbiotic microorganisms such as bacteria, fungi, and protozoa. Microorganisms break down the insoluble carbs into volatile fatty acids, aka VFAs. VFAs are important in the role of thermoregulation. The large colon, or the ascending colon, holds 20 gallons of matter and is approximately 12 feet long and 8 to 10 inches in diameter. The large colon, which would be over here, absorbs moisture from the digesta and is usually distended with liquefied fibrous materials. The small colon, either known as the ascending colon or descending colon, is right in here and is a 4-gallon container that is 3 to 4 inches in diameter and typically holds more solid waste of food that could not be digested. There are structures in the small colon that form undigested material into fecal balls. Once formed, the fecal balls are held in 1-foot-long tube until they are ready to be passed through the anus. This area is called the rectum. There are structures in the small colon that form undigested material into fecal balls. For example, once formed, the fecal balls are held in a 1-foot-long tube, until they're ready to pass through the anus. This area is called the rectum. And it is right about in here. And it is a 1-foot-long tube. Hi, thank you for joining us for our digestive system talk. I hope you've learned a lot about the breaking down of digesta into nutrients. And thank you, Tiki.
And as always, it is good. Thank your pony. Oops. With love.